All right, I gotta switch this out real quick. Get it to the one. Gotta do that every time. Do 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 do. All right, so I'm just kind of like trying this thing where I don't stream to Twitter. Uh, Partly because I'm locked out. I'll talk about that later when more people are here. Actually, it's just me right now still, so. I'll just get some people in here. Get some folks, FOLX. Maybe there won't be anyone. Maybe I'll just be talking to myself. But in that case, I'm gonna get started. Oh shit. Oh, they already put some. I asked for ketchup. I always ask for ketchup. They already gave me some, so that's good. That's good. Now I kind of get why people have those like 30-minute intros. Like before they start a stream, you know, like I think Haas does this too, where before they start a stream, it's like 30 seconds of like graphics and like music, stuff like that, and it's like, oh, okay, it's like time for people to assemble and get in and just kind of like see what's going on. Oh, some people are here. Check in when you can, SARS. Everyone's a SAR in this area. Let's see. Who's in here? Who's in here? Checking in, SAR. Andrew Yu, checking in. Sorry I'm late. You're the first person here, I think. Hopefully you'll boost the algo. People file in. I know it's probably not a good idea to say, hey, I'm starting at 6 now, guys, and then going even later than 8. Not a good idea, obviously. I'm also not streaming on Twitter right now because I'm locked. Oh, thanks. It's my birthday tomorrow, actually. But obviously I'm not going to be doing a stream tomorrow, so just wanted to put that in there. Thanks, Steve. Checking in, Sar. How's it going? I'm just tell me how the stream is. I think it's better. I think it's smoother than it has been. I might just I'm streaming now to Twitch and YouTube, but not X. Part of the reason is because I'm locked out of my account right now, and I'm appealing this bullshit thing that I'll talk about later. But you know, because like I think the more strikes you have, like there's an option to just like cancel to the appeal and just get back into the account. But if you have like all these infractions on your account and you get enough of them, I think they suspend you. So that I don't want that to happen. So I'm choosing to dig in the heels and appeal and wait for them to. And you know, it's been kind of a good vacation anyway. From oh, that's great, Steve. It's been a good vacation anyway from Twitter. You know. As you guys know, I'm a very terminally online person, and like it was pretty bad when I was younger. Because like back then you could only get on the internet with like a modem, right? A 56K or even like I think my first modem was like 14.4K modem. I remember it. I think it was like 1995, We got our first like Gateway 2000 computer. Back then, Gateway was this um, pretty like popular computer brand, like PC brand. It was kind of like it kind of had like a little bit of like an Apple-ish branding to it. You guys remember? Yeah, AOL, exactly. And I remember we got it when Windows 95 came out. It might have been soon after. I'm not exactly sure, but that was the first computer we got that had a modem on it too. Because back in the day, AOL did start on Windows 3.1, I think. But what was it? It started on 3.1, but obviously Bill Gates pushed a lot of the stuff on Windows 95. Not only was it Windows 95 that came out, they started doing USB stuff. That was like kind of new technology back in the day. Yeah, USB was new technology in 1995. So you started having like USB like thumb drives and stuff like that. The concept of plug and play for PCs. It was a thing for Macintoshes and stuff like that for a while, but for PCs, you had to like install drivers if you wanted to have a new like accessory or something like that, and sometimes technically it'd be a little bit more complicated for the layman. Obviously, I'm like someone like me, it was fine. I could install that shit fine myself. But like it became an era where the PC became a lot more user friendly because Bill Gates wants that dollars, and yeah, with that they also recognized, hey, this internet thing is going to be big. Let me bundle in Internet Explorer to kill Netscape, and just like to really like cash in on this internet craze. And that's pretty much the reason Andreessen hates Bill Gates. I kind of joke that, Compaq. Compaq, I think, didn't have... Compaq, to me at the time, it seemed like a worse Dell, actually. Like, Dell seemed to be kind of like a standard that was not flashy, but like kind of cheap. But Compaq seemed like even cheapo than even Dell. But yeah, so I was all PC back then. Gateway 2000 was the first one that I got, or that my parents got, obviously. That could connect to the internet. It was a 14.4K modem at the time. It was like go. I still remember. And so when you're a kid, you're going online, you just like fucking remember all this shit. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. Maybe I'm just reminiscing since I'm turning 42 tomorrow, and back in my day. Let's see. Are there more people here? Is it just us three right now? Sorry, guys. I think part of it might be because I'm not streaming on Twitter. Some people do find me from Twitter. They obviously see that I'm streaming. I don't think they watch it on Twitter, but they go on to my YouTube once they see that I am streaming. So I do want to eventually, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to. I might stream to just YouTube and Twitter, see how the performance is. I think the performance is better, right? Right now? Oh, great. My fucking camera is following me the entire time. Alright, I'm gonna have to disable that for now. Not that there's anything that objectionable on my desk, but, don't want to give everything away. Feds, you gotta work for info. Bro. Oh yeah, I was explaining how obsessed I was with the internet, right? Because like autistic people, especially Asian autistic people, they usually don't have many friends. Um, like even the Asian people don't like them. So um, that was my experience growing up, right? But the internet, it was like the first time an Asian autistic person or anyone who's autistic or whatever, or anyone who doesn't do particularly well in like real life social circles. Like, I think, what is it? I think they that's why a lot of them were attracted to the internet, right? And that's why you have a lot of, those 4chan people that were attracted to the internet. Because it is kind of like a place for people who kind of think outside the box, don't really fit in the norms. You go out, find a chat room, and you can find a chat room on anything. So you can kind of go to your, if you were autistic or whatever, you have a special interest that nobody gives a fuck about except you. You could find like-minded people on the internet. You could find, like, if you're into, like, let's say Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons or some shit, right? You could find people online that would kind of, like, be friendly with you, right? Or you could play computer games online, right? I think I started playing StarCraft 7th or 8th grade. It was funny because the first multiplayer game was actually through the dial-up. They had a dial-up. They had 3 multiplayer options. One was BattleNet, obviously. That was the most kind of popular one. And then there was I guess this is just going to be an Unk episode where I just reminisce about my past. Then it's just kind of like you had LAN parties, right, where you could connect through the local area network, and that would be a second way. And the third way was dial-up. You could dial up directly to another person's computer and then play them one-on-one, or like team games or whatever it was. I remember my first online multiplayer game because I didn't know how to do BattleNet or anything. I was just like playing it for the first time. My friend, who was a little bit more experienced, was like, "Oh, let's just play trying to use the phone." I didn't know what I was doing because I only played the single player version, and so I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna build photon cannons all around, all in the middle of the map, so he can't kill me." Oh man, but yeah, it was just kind of like, yeah, us millennials, that's what we were doing, right? And so, like, a lot of us became very closely, intimately. It became like internet almost became like it's easy to see now, right? Because the smartphone and everything, the internet's so ubiquitous. But back then, to be that obsessed with the internet, it was more rare. Obviously, it was more basically autistic people, which is why, Web 2.0 was pretty much all like these autistic nerds, like these Gen X autistic nerds that saw the opportunity and pounced on it, like Andreessen, right? Like Andreessen, like Peter Thiel, like Mark, right? I would be so addicted to the internet that I think I told this story before, but when I came back from college my freshman year, I had found out that my parents kind of disconnected the internet from AOL or any sort of ISP and I was not going to convince them to to turn it back on for 3 months. So I just like scoured through their mail. You know, back in the day, they had these like free ISP kind of services, like CDs. You know, like free ISP, and what the gimmick would be is that when you dial in, they would just like have like 20 bajillion like fucking ads. Just this was 2003. I forgot what it was called, but I found one of them, and I was like, "Oh, okay. I don't care how many ads you fucking throw at me. I'm just gonna keep clicking through it because I'm I'm addicted. I need my fix." I do remember when I came back from college, Net Zero. I think it was. Wait, was it Net Zero? It might have been Net. I think Net Zero was one of them. I think I did another one too. It was Net Zero and something else. But yeah. But I would literally convulse after I found out my parents disconnected the internet. I literally was like, oh! Because like you had a year, I had freshman year, all of freshman year on T1 lines, right? You're like experiencing the internet for the first time at like blazing speeds. I was downloading, this sounds like a lot, right? At the time. But movies back then, I guess, were 700 megabytes. Like feature-length movies. They would be like 700 megabytes. I think that was a DVD size for them. And, I'd be downloading movies. There was this guy on campus who had all these movies on his server, and then you could just like basically watch it off his server. I actually watched a lot of like American films that year that I'd never seen for the first time. Like, Scarface, all these like films that most people watch when they're kids growing up, but I never did because I got, my parents never exposed me to anything. Yeah, exactly. You know what, Steve? You know how fucking autistic I was? So when I got into Duke, they had you tour the campus and everything. And then I'd be walking around campus with the tour guide, that's student tour guide, whatever. And then when they were like, "So, do you guys have any questions?" I was like, "Hey, yeah. So, how fast is your internet connection here?" Oh my god, they're like, it's a T1 line. I don't know how fast that is, but it's a lot faster than your, modem at home probably." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." I already knew the answer too. I was just like, I just wanted to hear it again. That's how stupid I was. But yeah, I would literally convulse. I don't know why. Why is it tracking me again? I told you not to track me. I didn't give you the fucking signal not to track me again. The freshman side over on Broad Street from... There wasn't a Whole Foods when I was there, Steve. That came after. I haven't been back to Durham since 2009, so I have no idea what it looks like today. I'm sure there's plenty of like improvements to the Bryan Center and all this shit, but I have not stepped back onto campus. You know what the funny thing about Duke though? Like, I am convinced now that top 10, top 25 institutions like Duke, like the Ivy League, the schools with like huge endowments, I am convinced now that they all work with the fucking deep state. I probably said this before, but I've probably lived in around 10 different addresses. I think I've said this already, but I'll say it again. In my adult life, I probably lived in 10 different places before. Without fail, within 6 months, I will get a Duke letter saying, hey, basically donate money, right? Or like a Duke newsletter. Hey, here's what's going on in your alma mater. By the way, do you want to donate money? No, I don't. I don't want to donate any fucking money. You already took 140, 150 grand from me and my parents. All right? Like, we've already paid you. We paid you our dues. You can go ahead and fuck off. You're already fucking rich anyway. And also, y'all didn't win championship when I was there. The farthest we got in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, of course. Zionists are all over the fucking Ivy League. But the farthest we got in the tournament was fucking the Final Four. We lost to UConn in 2004. And then every other year we like just lost in the Sweet 16. So I'm like, this was a terrible Duke experience, all right? Yeah, exactly, Steve. They just like, they're working with the fucking CIA or the IRS or what, maybe they're trading notes, you know? The feds. They're just like, hey, if you want money. I feel like if you go to the Ivy League, they track you for fucking life. Duke's not an Ivy, obviously, but you know what I mean. But anyway. Yeah, so I was obsessed with the internet since I was pretty much 10. Yeah, they won in 2010 and then won in 2015. And then I think they lost to UNC in the Final Four. What was it, 2023, I think? That was fucking depressing because I think that was Coach K's retirement year. I actually met Coach K my freshman year. He was giving one of those talks to like the freshmen or whatever on the freshman side of campus. I forget what it's called. It's just called I just know the upperclassmen campus is called West Campus. Is it just called East Campus, I think? Anyway. I was at Giles, Steve, if you're curious. You met Flat Earth Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is actually pretty anti-imperialist. If you see his tweets recently, he's just kind of like talking about Burkina Faso and all this other stuff. I was like, oh shit, this guy's based. But yeah. So I was at East Campus. I think it was one of those orientation week things. And I had bought a Duke hat. And I got my Duke hat signed by him. And then I lost that hat like a month or two later. I was so fucking mad. I was so fucking pissed, Steve. I was like, damn. Lost my fucking Coach K hat. Krzyzewski. KRZYZ EWSKI. That's right. I was so obsessed back in the day, I remembered how to spell his fucking name. It's funny, though. I was probably one of the only people that applied to Duke as a safety school. And so I was probably one of the only people who got into Duke who didn't know anything about the fucking basketball team. No, that's probably not true. There's probably a lot of autistic nerds that didn't know it either. But I was probably like one of the only dudes that didn't know anything about the fucking basketball team. I did my freshman year and my senior year, which kind of sucked because we lost to Tyler Hansborough in my senior year. That sucked. But I think we won my freshman year. We had Dante Jones as our main guy that back then, with Chris Duhon. I only did whatever the less like crazy tenting was. I forget if it's white tenting or blue tenting, but the one that's not like you have to come back fucking before winter break is over and start tenting. I didn't do that shit. I wasn't that fucking obsessed. Cause like that's like if you do that tenting, you get to be on the TV side. You get to be the, like when they they scan the court, you'll be on that side and you'll be the Cameron crazies that they see. But I wasn't like that. I wasn't that fucking, I have to be there. But I did do the tenting, the less intense one. It was an interesting experience. I think the worst part of it were the night shifts, obviously. Just because it's like, it is the South, but it is still kind of cold during the winter. I don't know why this fucking keeps following me, even though I tell it not to. But like we were discussed before, the CIA has tabs on everyone. But yeah. Man. Is it really just us three? Sorry, guys. Hold on. Well. It might just be you and me now, Steve. We're just reminiscing about our Duke days now. This is a Duke Unk chat. Wait, so Steve, I thought you were living in Korea now. You're still in Durham? Yeah, it's kind of like I think they make it hot on purpose to like kind of pressure the opposing team. Because it's during the winter time, so right? So they don't really need to do much to make it a lot colder. But I think the heat part is to give the Duke players an advantage because like when it's hot and you have all these students yelling at you, it's a lot harder to kind of like concentrate. Oh, okay. Wait, so are you still doing a PhD then at Duke, or what are you studying there? I grew up lower middle class, so I had to go to the state school. I actually grew up lower middle class, but then by the time I was like 10 or so, my dad his career started to become a little bit more better. Because he started his residency when I was like 5, I want to say. No. Yeah. He finished his residency when I was 5. So he probably started when he was like, fuck. God damn it. Fucking stop fucking. Oh, God. Fucking camera. I worked at the campus cafeteria. Did I do any jobs? I think I might have. Did I do any jobs while I was Duke? I think I was thinking about it, but then I found poker. So I was like, well, fuck that. I could just fucking make money doing poker. Oh, you worked there. Oh, I didn't know that. Did you go to Duke Med School? I was friends with a lot of Asians, obviously, but a lot of Asians, obviously, at Duke undergrad were pre-law, pre-med, probably even more so than the Ivy League schools. Even I think people went to Duke. The type of Asians that went to Duke were usually like pre-med. A lot of them were BME majors, biomedical engineering. Okay. So I knew a lot of like kind of like pre-meds people. I was pre-med for a little bit, for a hot minute. I took organic chemistry there. Never went to class and got a B, so I was like, well, probably not for me. I remember like, before the midterm, before the final, I'm just like furiously like studying what the fuck an SN1, SN2 reaction is. I have no idea what it is now. All I kind of know is that it has to do with chirality and whatever. I'm actually kind of curious to study science again, but I just don't have time. Josh Choi. Would he have been class of 2005? What class would he have been? Josh Choi. What class would he have been in? I don't think I remember Josh Choi. But yeah, I should go back at least sometime soon. 2026 is technically my 10-year anniversary, or 20-year, my 20-year reunion. But, yeah, I think only people like working in, my dad was a nephrologist. So I think he remembered all that stuff because you need to have pretty good chemistry knowledge to be a nephrologist. And probably stuff like anything that has to do with like pharmaceuticals, right? Especially stuff like anesthesiology. You kind of have to know that kind of shit chemistry-wise. Never took biology in college. Thank fucking God. I hated biology in high school. Hey, Dillo Baguetto. What's up? Do I know you? Let's see. Is this chat for the bougie Koreans? This chat is for the communist Koreans, actually. But if you consider Wingstop, I'm eating Wingstop right now. So if you consider Wingstop to be bougie, then sure, yeah, I guess. And we're not all Korean here. I'm Korean. I think Andrew is Chinese, right? But yeah. This is just a chat for politics. If you want to listen to communist politics, or if you want to listen just me shooting the shit, what I'm doing right now, since there aren't too many people today. I started to stream late. But yeah, it's just a casual hangout space right now. So you're welcome to join or stick around, but don't have to, obviously. Anyway, Duke Medicals have to do a research year after their third year. I was his mentor. Oh. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I do talk about politics. Just today, it's fairly small today because I started late, and I'm trying to... I usually broadcast on Twitter as well, and Twitter is where I get most of my audience. So... not too many people here today. Usually it's around like 15 to 20 people. But yeah, it's just a casual hang. So you're welcome to stick around, whatever. No worries. Doug, they did Wing Chi at the Wing Chun. Do you mean Wing Chun at the national game opening ceremonies? Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I keep forgetting who's who in this chat. Sorry, Steve. Oh, thanks, BM. BM's my favorite Jap. Just kidding. I'm only saying that because we know each other, BM. I'm not trying to be a dick. Actually, that's kind of why that's what I was gonna talk about today. Oh, that's bringing back my terminally online monologue to full circle. So basically, I've been terminally online for 32 years of my life. So, oh yeah, no sake tonight. But so every now and then, especially in the past 5 years, I've been suspended from Twitter a lot, right? Especially pre-Elon. Like, my accounts were getting suspended left and fucking right. In the era of Elon, it's much less so. But I think the way I got suspended this time was I made a series of fucking tweets about the Japs that kind of went semi-viral. I think I got like 1,000 likes on one of them that got 100K impressions. That's actually kind of rare for me. My most seen tweet of all time was like 6 million, I think, impressions. But that was because I said something like, Asian immigrants don't owe black people shit. And then it was retweeted by Tariq Nasheed. And then that's why I got so many impressions. But I was like, oh, thanks, Tariq. You got me a lot of... Because a lot of black people actually followed me after that. That's the fucking funny part. That's the fucking funny part about all that fucking shit. Because, like, ostensibly, he wanted to shame me. He wanted to, like, get people to bully me. And some people did, right? Some people fucking were in my DMs. But, for some reason, they didn't mass report me. So I guess they didn't care enough to get me suspended or locked or whatever. But they just wanted to tell me that I'm a chink and all this shit and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then some black people followed me after that. So I was like, oh, okay. That's cool. It's okay. I got banned from IG and Reddit. They think I'm a Korean alien. So little. Wait, De La Baguette, are you Korean? Or are you... Yeah, are you LARPing as a black person with De La Baguette? Yeah, so then, I've been getting suspended, but every time I do get suspended now, I wasn't crashing out like it was when I was, what was I, 19 years old in the summer of 2023 or 2003. When I was like, fuck, where's my internet? Ah! When I got suspended, I'd be like, maybe the first couple times, I'd get like kind of like annoyed. But then after it kept happening, I was like, you know what? I could use a week break. I could use a week off Twitter. This is like a forced vacation that's being put on me. I could use a week. It's actually a good kind of like reset, right? Because when you're in the shit, especially when you're on Twitter all day, every day for like years and years and years, your mind can kind of get warped. Your mind can kind of get like warped into like, the algorithm. The algorithm is always kind of fucking trying to get you to say certain things, get you to think certain things, get you to do certain things, get you to believe certain things, right? And everyone's like, oh, well, that doesn't work on me. I'm a free thinker. I'm a whatever, You know what those people are? Why does this keep following me? Stop. Those people are the kind of people who say, oh, advertising doesn't affect me. Why do they waste my time with advertisements? On TV, right? People would say that all the time before the internet, right? About TV advertisements being stupid and waste of time. And I don't even buy those products anyway. I kind of used to think like that too. I'm like, it was like a fucking waste of time. Like, who is this fucking for? But then if advertising didn't actually work, why would they spend so much money doing it? Why would they spend so much money at Super Bowl, to have a 30-second ad for like $8 million? So it's just kind of like the same thing. Like, the internet algorithm, if it didn't affect you, Why are the tech companies so fucking valuable? Why are they so rich now? It's because they do affect you. And that's how they sell you ads now. That's how they subtly, like, that's the whole fucking Google business. Google and Facebook, that's their whole fucking business model. They need to sell you shit. So they give you this quote unquote free service. But the main purpose of this free service is to sell you shit. And they sell you shit by getting people that sell you shit to pay them to sell you shit. Exactly. They don't work on everyone, but especially in the age of the internet, where not only do they show everyone these ads, they can tell the advertiser, hey, if you want XYZ result, here are the people that are most likely to be interested in your product. So now these ads are hyper kind of like focused. Like before on the Super Bowl, whatever, those would be valuable because 100 million people watch the Super Bowl or whatever. So that revenue or that ad space is so valuable because you just have like so many eyeballs. But if you could get, let's say there's only 20% of that 100 million audience that's interested in your product. What if you could target that 20 million directly instead of spending all that money to target the 100 million? That like would, lower your costs by 1/5 in theory, right? So that's what internet companies do, or these fucking social media companies do. They give the data to the advertisers, be like, these are the people. And so instead of advertising on traditional media, come advertise with us. We'll sell you space for a lot cheaper, and it'll have better, kind of like effects for the effect, or better results for the effects you want to make. So yeah, I know, for example, it's probably a good idea to take a break from social media every now and then anyway. So that's why I consider these kinds of things when I get locked out of my account. Even if I get locked out for a week, I'm just kind of like, oh, yeah, maybe I needed a vacation anyway. The only problem is, though, ever since I've started streaming, I do get concerned because, well, especially today, because now I can't stream on X. And that's the reason I'm trying this out, too, because I just have to. But since I can't stream on X, more people don't know that I'm streaming, and so that's why we only have 3 people right now, or 3 or 4 people. I think even Steve might have left, but that's fine. If it's not done by a week, I might just take the L and just delete the thing. But the tweet that they want me to delete is so fucking bullshit. It was basically report this guy so I was quote tweeting this guy who was quote tweeting me over this tweet that he was angry about. But it was quote tweeting like basically a soy jack meme of Unit 731 testing. So I quote tweeted that and said, report for glorifying violence. But I guess enough fucking Japs or weebs, they probably both fucking descended on my account after my, fucking nuclear assault on Japs for the week. And they mass reported this. So I think the algorithm doesn't really fucking care what you wrote. It's just like if enough people report it, then you fucking okay. Got it. Then you fucking whatchamacallit. Then they lock your account, right? And so I'm appealing that shit now, but because I already appealed one thing, which was actually more because I did use Jap in it. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just because I used Jap. But now once I got that resolved, they unlocked it for that. But then once I said, okay, now get me back to my account, then the next fucking thing just happened, and it was still locked. Sup, holy cow? I'm just having a more casual stream today. Nothing serious going on. Just reminiscing of the old days like an old man. Basically, Japs and Nazis do not like my account. Yeah, I was also late. I know I've been saying, oh, I'm going to do 6 o'clock now to appeal to everyone. But I ended up starting at 8:45, so. But realistically, I think 6:30 is a more safer bet for at least Thursdays. I'll try to do 6 o'clock on Thursdays. But Sundays, every other week will probably be 8. And I'll have to do 6. It'll be switching off. So this week it'll be 8 or whatever. And next week it'll be 6. So that's the kind of like scheduling if you guys want to kind of keep up with that. It's a lot of Japanese fanboys. You can't say nothing about that. You should know that, well. Yeah, no, I know. And that's kind of like what I also try to fight online, right? All these fucking weebs fucking coming at me. Because I'm basically the only fucking Asian person on Twitter going this hard on Japs all the time. And, you know, that's why I kind of like LARP as Kim Il-sung too on Twitter. Because I'm like, this is the guy that fucking, you know, murdered Japs. So righteously murdered Japs, by the way. In Manchuria. So that's the guy you're gonna be scared of. It's your birthday on the East Coast, by the way. Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks, Richard. I'm gonna update my Twitter to my Mariano Rivera jersey because he's number 42. But I kind of also want to intimidate people again. I like intimidating people with subtle messages that only the people I'm targeting are going to understand. That's kind of like a little troll thing I like to do. Now I see why you got, yeah, I got banned for the stupidest shit too before Elon. I think I said like I called someone a cracker and I got banned for that. This was even pre-Elon. It wasn't even like a hugely like terrible thing. But I called someone a cracker because they were saying some racist shit. And then I'm the one that gets banned. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's fucking bullshit. But yeah. I will make Tojo took my knees. What's took my knees? I don't get that one. Should buy a Huawei P60 Pro or Aura 80 Ultra and get it on a new number. Then reset your IP for router. Don't connect it to Wi-Fi. Kind of stay undercover a little. Yeah, that's just too much effort. You know what? I feel like the feds are already on me if they are. So I don't think something like that's going to stop them if they are on me. You're still young, Doug. What the fuck? I mean, yeah, compared to you, maybe. But, no offense. You're Gen X, so to you, obviously, I'm young. But, you know, for the shit that I say online, people think I'm an unk for sure, you know. Or would be surprised that I'm an unk, right? I don't fucking care, though. I feel like Like other millennials are like, oh, I'm not old. I'm like, yeah, I'm old. What do you want from me? That's just math. I think maybe because I always looked young for my age. In my 30s, I would always get comments like, "Oh, you look like you're in your 20s. Oh, wait, you're 30s?" I'm like, yeah. I guess I take care of my skin. I don't know. I do sleep a lot. So funny story, I probably tell this one too. But when I was younger, I noticed my dad was working a lot, right? Um, and I'd be like, "Oh, why is he working so hard all the time and whatever?" And my mom would just be like, "Oh, they're trying to send you to, we're trying to send you to college, so we got to work, to make all this money so we could send you and your sister to college." And I remember thinking, like, when I become fucking an adult, I need to make so much money that I don't have to fucking wake up in the morning. Because back then, I think I had to wake up. I mean, this isn't that early. But to me, I was like, fuck this shit. I had to wake up at like 6:45 to go to high school. The first bell was at like 7:05 or some shit. I was within walking distance, so it was only like a 5-minute walk for me. And, it'd only take me like 15 minutes or so to like shower, brush my teeth really fast and like eat a bowl of cereal. It was like when I was a kid, I'd even like plan it like, okay, 5 minutes to get dressed. I wouldn't take a shower in the morning, actually. I'd take it at night so I wouldn't have to waste any time in the morning. So I'd put on my clothes for 5 minutes. I allotted 5 minutes of time for that. Allotted 5 minutes to eat my bowl of cereal. Allotted me 5 minutes to, brush my teeth and do bathroom stuff. So it's just kind of like, okay, I got 15 minutes. Because before high school, I'd take the bus to school because middle school is a little farther away. And so, like, I try to time it so that, like, by the time I was done with all these tasks, the bus would be on the way and it'd be like, all right, it's time to go. I would be so mad if I had to wait at the door for more than, like, a minute, I'd want to, like, time it exactly to, like, maximize the amount of sleep that I got. But yeah, basically, that was my sole purpose in wanting to get rich. I didn't care about like, oh, I need a fancy car, I need a fancy house, I need like all these things. I was like, as long as I have video games, as long as I got my internet computer, as long as I got this shit, I'm fine. I'm good. All I need is enough money so I don't have to fucking work a 9 to 5 and tell everyone else to fuck off. And I could sleep however long I fucking wanted. So the reason I probably look as young as I do is because I made sure I got that sleep all that time. I think it was like a coping mechanism too. Whenever I'd get depressed, I would just go to sleep. I would just, that's what I would do. I would just be like, I don't want to think about this anymore. I'm just going to go to sleep. I love fucking sleeping, man. Not as much anymore, to be honest. Probably because I take it for granted because I use weed to go to sleep now. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I could see the stats. They're dropping frames a little less than it was before. So I think the key issue was that I was streaming to multiple platforms. I might try just YouTube next time if my Twitter is off still. See how the performance is with just YouTube. Barring that, I'm going to try going back to a previous version of OBS. Because when I looked at previous streams, all the fucking streams were smooth as fuck. Before September. September was when OBS forced me to update. So I'm going to try... well, first I'm going to try the OBS kind of like reverse thing anyway, I think, for next time. See if that fucking works. But that's kind of like what's been going on. I think either that or I'm just going to have to make a lot of fucking money playing poker or something. I don't know. Get a new fucking computer again. Though it kind of feels like cheesehead because like I just got this computer last year on Black Friday. So it kind of like it's just kind of like, what am I going to use this computer for if I get a new computer? That's the bad thing about Macs, right? That's why I was a PC guy for the longest time. You can't really upgrade it pretty easily because a lot of shit is like hard fucking wired into the thing. It's not very upgrade friendly, and I bait you ain't got no kids. Kids will age you. That's 100% true, De La Baguetto. I do not have any kids. And I used to be kind of sad about that, but these days, you know, I do want kids eventually, but yeah. I do enjoy my freedom as well, though. PC Master Race, that's exactly right. How did I get started in poker? Oh my god, my commute from my home in Bayside to Stye was a bitch. Oh, you grew up in Queens? King of the Hill. Well, wow, meanwhile they be saying some heinous shit. Wait, what are we talking about? New majority shareholders of X want mass censorship. They want, enforce it for all groups to protect themselves. Shalom. Yeah, that's what's basically going on X. They protect the Jeets and they protect the Japs. You know why? Because both Japan and India are probably the most vocal supporters of Israel at this point. Because they're fucking psychopaths, Did you see Monkwe disappear? What's Monkwe? Monkwe? I don't know what that is. So how did I get started on poker? Well, I got started in poker actually from my one of my best friends from high school, who is actually Indian American. He's actually, I think he's from Kerala, or his parents are from Kerala, because he grew up. I think he grew up Catholic, and I think that area, there's a lot of Christians in that area, and he speaks that, or his parents speak that language or whatever. But he was a grade above me. He's actually a little younger. He's like a few months younger than me, but he graduated in a class above me. So he went to Northwestern, the medical school. And so in that freshman year, it was like a 7-year program. You did 3 years undergrad and then 4 years of med school. And then, so that was, you went to college in 2001. Or freshman year 2001. Oh. I don't know who that is, OO. Sorry. And so in that year, I guess this was kind of like the era where poker was starting to become popular again. Especially since, that's when online poker started to pop up as well. He wasn't really into online poker back then because really in 2003 online poker was like fucking ubiquitous. But basically, I guess like he started playing poker at Northwestern. And then in 2002, he came back. That was when I graduated high school, right? So I was 18 at the time. And it was funny because, I grew up like really Christian, right? I grew up like super, super devout. Sup, Nico P? Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for the happy birthday. I'm old. My back tells me I'm old. I don't know why this fucking keeps fucking tracking me. Anyway, what happened next? So I was really religious. So like I was like anti-gambling, I was celibate. I was a Christ cell. What else? I had never done drugs. I never even smoked a cigarette. I never even like was thinking about like drinking alcohol until 21. I kept to that promise too. And so I was really like, very, very Christian, so to speak. But then he was like, and then he was like, yo, dude, I found this game like where like if you're good, you can actually make money. And then I was like, what? And it's like, yeah, like poker. I was like, what are you talking about? All you do is gambling. You're just going to lose your money. That's what I've been told by my parents and all this stuff. So I was like, that's stupid. You're going to lose whatever. What is this thing? Just what are you talking about? I was such disbelief. And then he was like trying to explain it to me, trying to like bring these books to like get me to read them, and I was like, whatever. And I just didn't even pay attention. And then over the summer, so me and my friend during high school, we played StarCraft with some other high school people. But during high school, we actually knew some people from StarCraft, like within our area, within our county. Not like anywhere far, but like within our county, we met people also that played StarCraft too. Like IRL, we would just like meet up and just chill or whatever, play StarCraft or whatever. Exactly. We're when it comes to gambling, we love it. Asians love gambling. Exactly. They love the ghetto. But there was one time when one of our friends who played StarCraft with us, he was like, "Oh, I'm hosting a game. You guys want to play? You guys want to join?" And then Bobby was like, "Oh, this is perfect." And then I was like, I don't know about gambling and so whatever." It's like literally, he was like, literally, it is 10-cent, 20-cent limit poker. If you lose more than like $5, or if you lose more than $10, I will be very impressed. If you can lose more than $10 in this game, and so like, I was like, fine, whatever, sure. I guess like I could spend $10, I guess, watching a movie. Back then, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna get one this week. Thanks, Tungsul Kim. I'm getting one probably this week, but I mean, it's not too long. Not like terribly long. I mean, I guess it's getting a little long in the back. Whatever. Anyway, so I play this game. And there's this guy that I had like a rivalry with before, like about StarCraft, and we just get into hands where we just like raise each other, re-raise. All the fucking like prep work he told me, like only play Ace King and all these like different hand groupings, like read this book, this is to tell you which hands to play, I threw all that out the window. I was like, I'm gonna beat this guy. We're just like fucking raising each other. All the other people are like, these guys are playing like fucking maniacs. So it was just kind of like, well, this guy is supposed to be like this conservative guy who's like anti-gambling, and he's just like fucking getting into. I guess you're right, De La Baguetto. My true nature is to be a fucking degenerate and just be like, yeah, let's go. And the funny thing about it was it was fucking limit poker, right? So it's like you can't even raise that much more. You know, if they bet 10 cents, you can only make it 10 more cents. So it was just like stupid fucking shit. We like raise each other like 10 times on each street or some shit. So that was my first time getting into poker. But after that, you know, I didn't really like think about it much until, you know, it's kind of like a summer fun thing, like we did with some of those friends that I was mentioning. You know, we'd meet up, but I didn't really think about it until I got to college again. And so when I got to college, I forget what it was, but I think some of my friends, my Asian friends, were like rushing frats, and they were rushing kind of like there were stuff at Duke that weren't frats, but there were houses, like Wayne Manor. I don't know if you know Wayne Manor, Steve, but that was kind of like it wasn't exactly a frat, but it was more of like a social club on campus, or it was more of like a dormitory that people lived in, but you had to be part of that crew to get into that dormitory. So it was essentially a frat all in, like, but the name, they weren't associated with any sort of like chapter or whatever. It was just kind of like a only Duke thing. And I found out from some people, or I heard on campus, like, oh, they're playing poker here. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. I think I'm good at poker, you know. I was fucking retarded, right? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a huge thing. It was on West Campus. It was near Eden's, that kind of area. Maybe a little bit more closer to the main campus than Eden's. I remember it was probably like a 10-minute walk from Eden's, I remember. But anyway, I would play there, right? And people were, you know, the freshmen who were rushing would play as well. But I was just playing to play. I didn't care about getting to Wayne Manor or anything like that. I just wanted to fucking play poker. Yo, what's up, David? Sorry I'm late, but I guess you're in New York at 1 a.m. online. But that's good. That's cool. You know, we're all terminally online people. But anyway, so I'm in Wayne Manor. I'm playing these games, and I'm actually losing my fucking shirt. And I'm like that first semester, I was losing my shirt, and still managed to get good grades actually that first semester. But I think the second semester, I was trying to like play a lot to get better, and I was just still losing. I remember that was this one moment where my dad was in North Carolina for some sort of conference, and he gave me like some money, like some spending money. And then I just felt like so bad because I was like, oh man, I lost that money, you know, playing poker. I didn't tell him that, obviously, but I was like, oh man, I lost the amount you're giving me right now. I lost at poker. I feel so bad taking it from you right now. And so I remember trying to get really good and like trying to win my money back from all the money that I lost. And then I play all like finals week, and I got bad grades my second semester. I got a C+ in Econ 102, which doesn't even fucking make sense when you look at my college transcript, because like every single like advanced econ class I get A's in. So it's like, wait, how did he get an a C+ in 102? How does that fucking make sense? Well, I literally didn't fucking go to class at all. I think I probably like missed assignments and didn't do shit. I paid back my dad, or I paid back my parents half my college tuition when I won the World Series. So a little bit more than what he gave me. I think he gave me a few $100. It wasn't like too much. But no, I want to watch. But that's like, it's kind of like stupid looking, so I just keep it as a sentimental thing. I gave my dad the watch that I bought later on from another tournament. It's like this Rolex. Because I wasn't really wearing it, so I was like, oh, I'll just get it back from you when, you pass away, obviously. But you can have it for now because I'm not using it. So he wears that because that was kind of a sad story because he had lost the wedding watch he got from my mom's parents. That was like a pretty like pricey Rolex, probably like also because it was like vintage. He lost it at like kendo practice once. I think my mom like was fucking furious when she found out. She was beside herself. But then I was like, oh, if you want a Rolex, you can just wear mine. It's a little too modern for him in my opinion, but whatever. But yeah, so that's what happened. That summer, because I got bad grades, my parents didn't talk to me for a fucking month. Gave me the silent treatment. It wasn't even that bad, to be honest. I think it was like, okay, it was kind of bad. I think it was like a 3.0 average that year. And I got a 3.8 like 5, or I think I get 3.825 my first semester. So then I got a 3 my second semester, and then that's 3.4. So yes, that was terrible for my parents. That's a fucking death sentence. Like, you do not get a B average with my parents. That's fucking sure. So give me a silent treatment for a month. So I'm kind of stewing. I'm kind of like whatever. But I'm like, you know what? I'm coming back with a vengeance with the poker thing. I'm gonna come back, whatever. I don't accept defeat. I don't accept this fucking thing where, these fucking chumps at this Wayne Manor just took all my money. I'm gonna come back with a fucking vengeance. And I'm gonna learn all my shit. So I spent that summer talking with a friend again, Bobby. Sorry, I just outed you, Bobby. But basically, I started taking what he was saying a lot more seriously. And he was like, oh, okay. Here's some books that I found. Just read these books. One of them was, there was a lot of David Slansky stuff, if you guys are familiar. And he was like, yeah, now sign up for this. Sign up for online poker is what he suggested too. Because at the time, online poker was starting to get more popular, right? But they wanted to entice new customers. So what they would do is give you bonuses if you signed up. So for example, they'd be like, we will match your buy-in 100% up to $500. So what people would do would be like, they would buy in for $500 on one site, play the certain amount of hands to unlock that bonus. It would usually not even be that many hands, probably be like 1,000 hands or so. And then once you do that, you cash out $500, and then you put it on another site, and then you work that one. You like keep getting your bonuses from all these sites. That's how people start to like generate their initial bankroll. Especially on Party Poker. Party Poker had like 4 or 5 different skins. So you could do it on each fucking skin too. And back then, you could use this service called Net Teller, which was like basically a money transfer service that was doing all this shit. I was shut down by the federal government in 2011. And so that's how I built my initial bankroll. And back then, poker was not complicated. For for example, you can only buy in for 50 big blinds. So, for example, if you were in a 25-cent, 50-cent game, you could only buy in for $25. So what this did was it made poker very simple. It's basically, if you have top pair, top kicker, never fold. Never fold, and you will print money. That was basically the strategy back then. Like, I'm simplifying it a little bit, but back then, if you just followed that one strategy, you could make money. This was the fucking golden. This is called the poker boom. This was like, that's why I said, like, any retard, like, if you have a basic understanding of statistics, like, not even a complicated understanding, like, just a basic understanding of statistics and enough patience, you could literally print money. Now, the majority of people in America are not good at those things, right? They're impatient and they are not good at math. So for someone like me, it was a lot easy. It was very easy to make money. And so I did that. And my friend also told me, hey, sign up for this program called Poker Tracker. So what Poker Tracker is like, so back when online poker was popular, they would also give you hand histories, right? So what you could do is you could request, hey, I want to download, all the hands I played from this month or whatever. And then they would send you a file that would give you all these hand histories. Or I think they might even store the hand histories on your hard drive. But this Poker Tracker thing, it would analyze these hand histories and then give you all your frequencies, like how much you put money into the pot, how much you raised, how much you won at Showdown, all these statistics that would help you analyze what you're playing, how you're playing, and what you're doing, and where you might be weak, where you might be doing stuff right, wrong, whatever. But back in the day, in 2003, that stuff was very cutting edge. And so the data was there, but the theory behind it wasn't really fully developed yet. So on that side, my friend also told me, hey, those books you read? Well, they actually have a forum called 2+2. So if you ever have a question on a hand you played, then you can ask the forum, like, hey, this is what I did. This is what the situation was. This is what my position was. This is what the opponent did. Could I have played this differently, or was this fine? Like, it would be like that would be called a line check. Like, was my line okay, or was this a bad beat, or like all these kinds of questions, like, or what would you have done differently? And so you'd have like debates sometimes, like on significant hands, like, oh, I would have done this, blah blah blah, and you'd have people debating like what the proper strategy was. And this was kind of like during my sophomore year. So sophomore year, I started to get a lot better at poker because I was like trying to learn. Actually, this instead of my freshman year, I was just like, oh, I'm already good. I'm good at math. I know what I'm doing. I had that fucking Dunning-Kruger false confidence. But then once I got a little, once I had to eat a bunch of humble pie, then it was like, all right, I need to fucking study shit. I need to figure out what's going on here. And so by junior year, I'm pretty good, actually. Not the greatest, looking back, I wish I did certain things to help me conceptualize poker in a different way. But I was also friends with this guy at my college who was really good at poker. His name's Jason Strasser. And so it was helpful to also be friends with someone like that because he's connected with really other really good players. And so I would kind of like absorb information from him a little bit too. I actually kind of joked with him, hey, you're one of my favorite Jewish German people. There's Albert Einstein, Karl Marx, and you. And so, yeah, I kind of like learned poker, and by junior year, I was good enough that I was making decent money. Not like enough to like just quit and get a regular job. But I made enough such that I was able to like get a plasma TV, for example, in my room. Like, keep in mind, your dorm rooms at Duke are not that large. They're like, it's like probably not that much bigger than this room. It's, this is probably like, I want to say 100 square feet. Duke rooms, and these would be 2 bedrooms, right? I'd have a roommate for most of my time there. Duke rooms were probably around like, I want to say like 150 to 200. I think my biggest room was like around 200 or so square feet. And, to have a 42-inch plasma TV. My parents still use that TV, by the way. And I got that TV in 2005. My parents still use that TV until basically 2021, 2022. They use that TV for like 17 years. I'm like, dude. Now they have a pretty much the TV that I have. I think it's a 65-inch LG. LG makes the best TVs now these days, I think. Anyway, so I was kind of feeling myself a little bit in junior year, but 2005, I was making decent money. I was playing like 2-4, mostly 2-4, 3-6, no limit hold'em online. And then, what else happened? So that year, I'm 21, right? I turned 21 in November 2004. So once I do that, I go to Vegas for the first time. I think it was spring break. Spring break 2005. My junior year. I'm going to Vegas for the first time. And my friend is playing like 10-20 live, just taking a shot. And all of a sudden, Daniel Negreanu comes. And he's just like, I guess he's friends with the player who was already sitting. And he's just like playing his chips. And he's like super drunk. And he's just like doing all this wild shit, like squeeze playing. Like, that we're like, what is he doing? But like now it makes sense. But he's doing like all this wild shit we've never seen before. And my friend Bobby, he manages to get all in for like $2,000 or $3,000 against Negreanu. And he has like I think he had pocket kings because like, we were both fucking nits. We're not going all in without like nothing, right? And then like Negreanu's just kind of like, oh, that's great. I'm Jack 4. I'm kind of live. And he wins that hand. Fortunately, my friend wins that hand. But they take a picture together. It's just like looking crazy in 2005. Your parents say you are Hyoja? What's Hyoja? I don't even know what that is. What is Hyoja? But that was like a wild time. And then that summer, my friend, we were both playing for so Poker Stars now is a huge thing, right? Because Moneymaker came from Poker Stars, and then Greg Raymer in 2004 also won from Poker Stars. In 2005, Joe Hashem even wins from Poker Stars. But even before that, even before he wins, my friend and I, we're all jazzed about playing the World Series, right? We've all seen rounders, we've all seen all this shit. We're like, the World Series is a dream, right? We want to fucking play the World Series. So we're playing all these satellites on Poker Stars. I spent $2,500 that year, I think. No, maybe it was like $1,500. I think it was, yes. I think it was actually $1,600 on satellites. I didn't get in, but my friend does, right? So me and my friend and some of his other friends, we kind of like make a trip out of it. Like we stay there for a week even before the World Series just to hang out, or we're hanging out the win. I remember pulling a 28-hour session People were like, do you want to end? I was like, no, I was stuck. So I was like, fuck this. I want to get back to even. I didn't get back to even. Spoiler. Don't ever play. Don't ever play for more than, if you're stuck. That's my advice. If you're stuck, don't ever play for more than like 8 hours. That 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th hour, that's not gonna get you out of the hole, you know. So he plays the World Series and he loses day one. Unfortunately, he has a set and the guy has a flop straight and they get it all in. I think it was like 8, 7, 6, 2 spades. And the guy was kind of a professional himself, Yanni Soitula. But he had 4, 5. And my friend had pocket 8s. And they got it all in, and that was that. And we were kind of sad, disappointed. But I was like, I'm going to make the World Series one day. I'm going to play the World Series. Like, I just want to play. Like, you know, even though my friend lost, and even though you could just, like most of the time you're going to lose, right? Like, only 10% cash. I was like, I just want to play. I just want to, you know, because 2005 was the last year, I think. No. Wait. No, 2005 was after his first year of med school. So for him, that was kind of like his last opportunity to like kind of like party a little bit before, because I think second, third, fourth year, there's a lot more intense. And so for me, I was like, you know, I'm probably going to be working after college. So I got to make the World Series in 2006 or I might not ever play in it, you know. I might never ever have the opportunity to play in the World Series. This was back when, you know, being a poker professional was not as ubiquitous as it is today. You know, this is like the poker kind of like industry was still in its nascent stages. So I didn't know that it could be like a career path, right? So 2006, you know, I'm keeping up with my studies now, right? Still, because I want to get a job now. So I kept up with my studies in junior year, so everything was above board, and I managed to get a job. January, I managed to secure a job in January as a management consultant. So I was like, okay, I secured the bag. Now I can play the World Series and not feel any sort of guilt about it because I've already got a job waiting for me in September or August or September. So all I got to do is win a seat and I can enjoy kind of like an experience. I can like, you know, tell my grandkids I played in the World Series one day, right? You know, that was the idea. I had no expectations whatsoever of, you know, what happened, but that was kind of like my mentality going in. And so that fucking summer, I was playing satellites all the fucking time. Like, you know, I was playing satellites. I was playing cash games to make money to in order to enter another satellite. But I was fucking playing all those satellites. I even visited. So after I graduated, I visited my sister in Paris. You know, because she had been living in Paris for a year. She was doing couture design school after she graduated. And so I visited her in Paris. She's like living in this fucking closet, like 5th store walk-up closet in fucking near the Notre Dame Cathedral. That was fucking terrible because I had to carry her shit, you know, help her carry her shit down the fucking 5 stories. You know, there's like she had these retarded shit like mannequins and fucking like her sewing machine. I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? You just got me here to do hard labor for you. And then I remember getting the flu in France. But every day I would still be fucking playing. I would be playing poker. And then once I lost the satellites, I would just spend the rest of my time watching 24. I got all the DVDs, the Jack Bauer DVDs. I just watched 24 till like 8 in the morning, and then I'd go to sleep, and my sister would be like, why did you visit me in Paris if all you're gonna do is sleep? Don't you want to see shit or whatever? And I was like, fuck that, I'm getting the World Series. Like, yeah, I need a fucking win. I need to fucking win these satellites. And then I did go on a walking Paris tour. That was kind of fun, actually. Visited the Louvre, all that shit, etc. We were walking through London. I remember she almost hit this guy with her mannequin. It was this Indian guy. He was like, "Yeah, better watch it, love, or I'll break that shit off for you." I was like, "All right, mate." God, my sister is so stupid sometimes. There was one time when we didn't have fare to fucking ride some subway thing, and then she was like, "Oh, just jump the turnstile." And it's like, "No, you can't do that. Like, we're in a foreign country." It's like, "Just do it." And then she did it. And then immediately afterwards, a fucking security guard comes and was like, "Oh God, I don't know this. I don't know this woman. I don't know this woman. I'm walking the other way." And then we're at the fucking, we also, I think we might have visited Rome or Italy too. And what happened there? Yeah, we're in Italy. We're in Florence, right? You know how they had the fucking David statue there? And then there was signs saying no photographs, right? No photographs because, like, I guess the light exposure, damages shit or whatever. And it was like, and then she was like, "Oh, do you have your digital camera?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it said no photographs." And then I was like, "Just give me the camera." And then I was like, "All right, fine." And she takes the camera. Immediately afterwards, there's some fucking museum guy who's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Ah!" I mean, I didn't leave my sister. I just stood to the side, and I was just kind of like, "Oh God." Anyway, yeah, people think that I'm the crazy one. No, my other family members are actually the crazier ones. I'm the one that's trying to keep it all together. Just kidding. I'm a little crazy too, in different ways. I'm not too sure, but I assume it's a good child because apparently it's not me. They did say I'm a good child in general, but they're not too quite happy with my communist turn. I did go to church today. I checked out an Orthodox church today just to see what it was like for the first time. And my mom was really excited about that. She was like, "Oh, that's cool. I like that." I was like, "All right, whatever." I don't know if I'm going again. I want to kind of check out like a proper cathedral for an Orthodox church. I want to see what that feels like. Anyway, Duke is greater than Harvard. Yeah, when it comes to me and my sister, that data point, yeah, Duke is definitely greater than my sister. Let's be fucking real. Like, oh God. The Harvard girl pulled some dumb American shit, immediately gets caught. Exactly. And she was the one. The funny thing about that BM is she was the one who was living in Paris for a fucking year. So I was like, "Oh, maybe this is how you do things, maybe." Because we were going to, I think we were taking the train to Versailles, the Versailles Palace, to see what it was like. When I went to the Versailles Palace, oh yeah, but that's basically where we're going to. So it's like, oh well, I guess when in Paris, jump the turnstiles or whatever. And then I was like, oh, maybe not. I was like, when in Paris, don't jump the turnstile. Actually, this ain't like New York City apparently, where you just fucking open the emergency exit and you're like, wee. When it goes, you just walk through it, right, David Tay? Yo, David, when I come to New York, maybe we'll check that one out again. How about it? Anyway, so I'm playing poker. I'm playing a lot of poker that summer. And I'm not making the fucking tournament. The tournament starts July 28th. And I'm not making any of the fucking things. I'm spending like even more money than I did. I think I spent $1,600 first year and then $2,500 finally the second time. And then finally on July 23rd, the last fucking tournament or the satellite tournament that PokerStars was hosting. Keep in mind the day one was 28th. So this is 5 days, like, you know, before the main event. It was the last one. And I think I entered 3 different satellites. You know, there were 3 different satellites with 3 different structures. One was a double shootout. One was just a regular satellite. That was like a 650 buy-in. The shootouts were 180, I think. And I think I did some other $300 tournament as well on Full Tilt. I think that was a regular structure as well. And so on that day, I almost immediately lose the double shootout. I think I don't even get to the second round. And then a couple hours in, I lose the Full Tilt one. So I'm only on one left, right? And I'm playing the fucking tournament. I'm playing the satellite. And then midway through, I lose this huge bad beat. I think I had kings against jacks. And I'm crippled. I'm down to like 4 or 5 big blinds. And keep in mind, there's probably still a few more hours left to play. And I remember being like so fucking like, oh God, that was it. That was the game. You know, I remember being like, fuck. Like, I'm not making it, huh? But then I just like I just like slap myself. I'm like, you know what? Get in the fucking game. You know, like, you know, if you're going to go down, you're going to go down fucking swinging. Don't fucking like try to like sneak in or whatever. You know, play your fucking game. Don't be a little bitch. Don't fucking cry about, you know, milk that isn't even spilt yet. And then so I got lucky in those next few rounds. I like shoved. I think I like doubled up and shoved again, picked up blinds, you know, like picking my spots. And then I get to like a comfortable spot. And finally we get to the point where the final person is eliminated and everyone gets seats. And I remember being so fucking happy. My sister was actually happy for me too. I don't know why. I think I might have gave her money after that. I was like, I think I just gave her $500 just because I was like so happy I made it. Because the package, they gave you $10,000 buy-in, obviously. They gave you $1,000 cash for travel expenses. And then they give you another $1,000 if you agree to wear their shit during the tournament. And then they would give you more bonuses if you made it farther in the tournament. So I got the $12K, right? I picked up their, you know, I went to Treasure Island. That's where they had their like base of Operation PokerStars. They're giving out the shit. Like I think I still have this duffel bag, the PokerStars duffel bag. They gave you like a jersey, like a PokerStars jersey, PokerStars hat, PokerStars like shirt, you know, stuff to just wear during the tournament. So that's kind of what I was fucking wearing. I don't know how this turned into like a my poker origin story, but whatever. And then I never really told this whole entire story in its entirety before, but yeah, I'm playing in the World Series, and my friend Jason Strasser is there, and you know he's kind of like more connected. He's playing fucking 2550 in 2006. He's printing fucking money, playing 6-tabling 2550, because back then the skill level was not that great, even at 2550, but he was good enough to hang with those guys and had enough of bankroll. He actually made $1.4 million in 2006. I think he made, from tournaments and from his own stuff. I think that 1.4 might have just been from tournaments. I think he might have made even more than that. But he was like one of the crushers back in the day. And so he knew the other crushers. There was this guy, Foxwood Fiend, back in the day. That was another crusher. And I'm pulling into Vegas, right? I just, after fucking winning the satellite, I immediately buy a ticket to Las Vegas, and I'm staying at their house because they've already, have a house that they're staying at. I'm really grateful because, like, I didn't have a place. I didn't even organize any lodging myself. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just stay with you guys. So I'm meeting up with them. They're playing like fucking blackjack with $100 a hand. I think they might have been playing. No, they were playing like $500 a hand. I was like, what the fuck is this going? This is like fucking high stakes shit going on. I was just like watching in like just total awe, right? It was just like all this money flying around. Because like apparently Jason was gonna play in the final table in some other tournament, like a 1500 event. So he was already fucking feeling himself. He had a lot of money. And then I remember, man, what happened exactly? I just remember like them talking, whatever. And then apparently one of them had made a bet that my Jason's friend Foxwood Fiend had made a bet with Vanessa Selbst that she said she made the bet that she would know somebody at the final table this year. And she won that bet because we had actually DM'd each other. I thought she was a dude, actually. What the fuck? All right, what the fuck was that? My camera just turned like red. Something's fucking going on here. I don't know. Whatever, CIA. Nothing's going on here. I'm just talking about my poker thing. You don't have to fucking whatever. I saw a pic somewhere when I was group Duke poker players. I think there was an Asian guy. I wonder if that's you. It might not have been. There was another guy that was pretty good. That was a freshman when I was a senior. His name is Chris Lee. He was probably a lot more famous back in the day. Anyway, hold on a second. Somebody's messaging me. Oh, God. Anyway, so I'm in awe. I'm in like, holy shit, this is the big time. These guys are ballers. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And so we're driving to the venue, right? Because I'm already paid for, like, the Poker Stars has already paid for my buy-in. And so I'm going to the fucking casino with them. And in the car, it's me, Jason, another Duke friend who's playing in the tournament, and then my Foxwood Fiend. And then in the car, they're like, "Hey, you wanna swap 5?" So swap 5 means, do you want to trade 5%? So it's a way for people to mitigate risk. So let's say I bust out of the tournament, but you're still in. If you win, $1 million, you have to give me $50K if we swapped 5%. So it's like basically like to keep action alive, like to feel like there's still a little action you got in the tournament. It's a way to like kind of like mitigate risk and to just like cheer for your friend, right? Because you're also cheering for yourself. So I was kind of like, oh, what are you guys talking about? Swapping 5s? Like, oh, they just explained what I just explained. And I was like, oh, because I'm a very risk averse person. I had 100% myself at that time. So I was like, Jason, do you want to swap any? And it was like, yeah, let's do 2. You could tell he didn't really quite respect my play, and that's fair. I wasn't hanging with them, so I wasn't hanging with the big boys. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's do 2. And then the other guy in the back seat was like, I'll do 1 with you if you want. And I was like, okay, all right. So I'll do 97 of myself and 3% to other people. And yeah, we just start playing. First day, I 3x my stack. I'm running really hot, but also the players are really terrible. I was just kind of like my first day, man. Man, I actually did write about this in my blog. I don't know if whatever, I'll just say it. I'll just tell the fucking story. But the first day, I met fucking that guy who played Scooby-Doo. He was at my first table. What's his name? It's like Matt Lillard, I think. Yeah, I think it's Matt Lillard, right? So, interestingly enough, Matt Lillard was one of Jamie Gold's clients, right? So then the reason Jamie Gold was playing the fucking tournament was he made a deal with Bodog. Bodog said, hey, if you get your clients to play in the World Series and wear our shit, we will give you guys a free seat to the World Series. And then so it was him and his partner at the time, who was like the management company. So I guess they were repping Matt Lillard. But the deal was, hey, since you're the poker player, why don't you play it? And then we'll split the winnings 50-50. That was kind of the idea. Right. Yeah. Matt Lillard, Scooby-Doo. And then so he was at my table. Lane Flack was at my table. So it's not that big of a popular poker player now. But to me, I was like, oh, shit, this is cool. Like, I'm like fucking playing with the greats and I'm playing with like movie stars. This is crazy. I actually didn't know who Matt Lillard was, but I think other people were talking about it. I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is like an amazing experience. Even if I bust out today, I can, I feel like this is cool. But then, like because Greg Raymer put on his sunglasses in 2005 every time he was in a hand and then took them off when he wasn't in hand, I did the same thing. I had these fucking, the Oakleys that Cyclops has in X-Men. I think I got those Oakleys. They weren't those color. It was black or whatever. But I got those Oakleys. And so every time I was playing a hand, I put on the Oakleys. And then, like, just play the hand until it was over. And, like, try to be as expressionless as possible during the whole hand. And then I take them off. And then like, after I did that a few times, Matt Lillard was like, yo, bro, I love it when you go all Terminator. I love it when you go all Terminator, bro. I was like, thanks, I guess. I was like, okay, cool. No, I didn't wear I wore my PokerStars stuff because I was just like, I didn't know what was going on, so I was just like wearing my PokerStars stuff to fulfill the requirement for that the 1K. I actually pretty much found out later on I probably didn't even need to do that because they already paid me the 1K. So it wasn't like they were gonna take it back if I didn't wear their shit the entire time. But I'm glad I did because later on it became important because they paid out bonuses if you made the final table wearing their stuff. So I'm glad I did that. But I was wearing most of the PokerStars stuff that week until the final final 2 tables. That's when I was starting to wear more of my own stuff, but like wear the hat. Like I'd wear. All right, see you, Steve. Take care. But anyway, I made it through. I remember like being amused because like typically my friends would say I'm a nit. Like I play very tight. I play very conservatively. But like I would be raising a lot because before the fucking tournament, I told myself, I don't care about placing higher. I don't care about like sneaking into a higher place. I don't care about whatever. I want to play as good as possible and fucking like be aggressive as possible and fucking like take the opportunities when I can and fucking like show these motherfuckers who they're messing with. I was just kind of like in game mode, right? I was just like, I don't care if I bust out. This is just for me, a story. And I just want to say to myself that I played the best that I could. And even if that ends up making me lose early on, then I can live with that, right? I can live with playing my best and losing, but I couldn't live with not playing my best and losing, right? Just to try to like sneak into whatever. Um, and so that was kind of like my mentality going into the game. So I was just like raising and being aggressive. And there's this woman who's like, he's raising every hand. And I was thinking in my head, like, I actually took her out later because like, oh, you think I'm raising every hand? Well, now I'm going to play tight against you and have it when you fucking call me down. And I did that. And it was just like, in my mind, I was like, let's fucking go, bitch. Like, why don't you fucking do something about it? Exactly. I was super system Doug that year. I was, which isn't even that crazy. I mean, like, even aggressive me is still probably a lot more conservative than even players back then. But that's kind of like what my mentality was. And then by the third day, we had made the money because back then, there were 6 levels. So we played 12 hours of fucking poker. So we'd start at noon and we'd end at around 3:30, 4 o'clock. But, you know, I was 22 at the time. I was wired. I was ready to go. I was ready to play more poker after the level 6. I was like, let's fucking go. Let's keep playing. Let's keep playing. But, you know, the old people are like, fuck you, probably. And so, are there any Huberman-esque tips for locking in during the game? I don't know what Huberman is. I thought you meant took her out on a date. No, I took her the fuck out. Like, I fucking took her the fuck out. It's like, those are my chips, bitch. Bitch better have my money. That's what. So on third day, you know, Jason Strasser and me, we were both fucking crushing the tournament actually at this time. And so there was this guy from PokerStars actually like writing articles about us, you know, as it was happening. His name was Craig Cunningham, I think. I still remember. But he was, you know, he was like a journalist for PokerStars, right? Because like they want to kind of document anyone who's doing well wearing their shit. And so we were kind of like a story because like we were both, you know, Duke guys, and we're like a duo almost. And yeah, that was fucking cool. I remember day 3, I met Phil Ivey. That was fucking awesome. He was to my left, and he only had like 20 big blinds, so I wasn't that scared. But it was just kind of like, okay, let's not be too crazy. You know, Phil Ivey's to my left. You can't be fucking doing too much shit that he's not going to take advantage of if you're not careful. But I remember one time I made someone fold kings by accident by 3-betting really big because I thought another guy was full of shit, but I didn't see that he had just called, or I didn't think that he would just call with fucking pocket kings. So what happened is there was this aggro guy that was doing a lot of shit, and then the kings guy calls him, and I'm in the big blind with pocket like 8s or something, pocket 9s or 8s, and I 3-bet really big because I think I want to get it in with the loose guy because I think he has jack fucking shit and might just jam with jack fucking shit. And he folds. But then the other guy who calls with kings, he's like, oh man, what do I do here? What do I do? I didn't see this guy fucking raising a single or 3-bet this whole entire day. He must have it, right? He's got to have it. And he's like saying this whole thing in his brain or whatever, and it's like for like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh fuck, well, I guess I'm folding for any more action because he's announcing his fucking hand. If he jams here, I'm probably folding, right? I'm not gonna fucking call with pocket 8s if he's saying that he has pocket kings and he has this fucking. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just thinking, is this a mind game or like what's going on here, right? It's taking a long time. Finally, he folds kings face up. And then I showed my 8s face up. And then I kind of look over a little bit, and I think I see a little curl of a smile from Phil, and I was like, yeah, that's right. You saw this guy. You saw Doug Kim. Phil Ivey saw Doug Kim pull off this bluff that he didn't even intend. The Phil Ivey, his lip curled just ever so slightly. You know, he doesn't show much emotion. But what was also interesting was that no, there's no clip of that. This was day 3 still, so there was like shit ton of tables, right? I was never on the featured stuff until later in the fucking tournament. So Phil Ivey, I think he busted soon after that, and then we get into the money day 3 because we played so many fucking levels. I think like mid to late day 3. And then I get into hand with David Einhorn, who's a billionaire. It was basically, so I raised to 7K at 1K, 2K. I think I had a 200K stack at that time. So I had 100 big blinds. He made it 35 from the small blind or big blind, one of the blinds. And that was a huge 3-bet, like 7K to 35K. So I was like, oh shit. Does he have aces or ace king or queens here? I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call. And if there's no ace on the flop, I'm just going to basically jam all in to protect my equity. You know, this is... Again, I know that's not a good strategy today, but that was like my mentality back then. You know, this is 19 years ago. Poker strategy has evolved. I'm aware that poker strategy has evolved much higher to where I should probably be just like 4-bet calling there a lot. Wait, Tommy Turtle, did you play a lot of poker back in the day? Anyway, so I do that, and the flop is like Jack 7-3 rainbow. It was pretty clean, I thought, or so I thought. And so he bets like, I think he bet like 40K. And so, you know, I just jam for like 120 more. And then he snap calls. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And he shows pocket jacks. And I'm like, I literally start to pick up my shit. Like, I have my bag or whatever. I'm like, well, I won 30K, you know, or, you know, I won 20K since I was going to cash out for 30K. Got a good story. You know, I played as good as I could. You know, I was thinking to myself, well, at least I got a story. That was fun. And then the queen on the turn. And then the king on the fucking river. And I was just like, the king! You know, like LeBron James. You know, LeBron didn't start playing. Oh, wait, no, he did start playing. The king. I wasn't really a LeBron fan at the time, but now I refer to it as like, the king! I yelled so hard that I think the entire room heard me like fucking yell. I was like, holy shit! Because at that time, that was probably the biggest pot of the tournament. I was like, I got 400K fucking chips now. You know. Total pole position. And the crazy part is, Einhorn still has a pretty big stack after that, too. He made it 27th, I think, that year. So keep in mind that there's still like there's still like 600 or so, 700 or so people left. And so he still manages to make the top 27 with that stack. And so I'm fucking flying high. I got so many it takes me literally 20 minutes to stack my chips up. Like, I don't have room. That's how many fucking chips there were on my fucking stack. I had to stack them in 40s. That's why when you see those pictures of me, I'm just like, I just have this like fucking monster stack, and I'm like, I think Jason was on a table a few tables over, and he was like, dude, why are you screaming? So he's just like needling me. It's like, dude, act like you've been there before, all right? But like he was just happy for me, but it's like, act like you've been there before. I was just like, I can't. This is too crazy. Jamie Gold was one of the leaders. I think he pulls ahead around day 4, day 5 though. I don't think he was as dominant at that point. Yeah. And so I'm flying high. Most of the people except for me and Jason are out. And then Jason still has more chips than me still at that point. So I'm like, oh shit, I gotta catch up, you know. We're kind of like joking around about that. But then I think he loses on day 4. You know, I think there were a few hundred people left. And day 4, he loses a huge pot. I think it was like aces versus ace king suited all in. And the guy like backdoors a flush. You know, that was fucking devastating, obviously. And then he still has enough whatever, but then he loses pocket. I think he got out. He lost his final hand on pocket 10s versus pocket 9s. So it was just a very unfortunate kind of like sequence of events for him. But you know, I was still in, so he still had that 2% equity, still alive. And so you know, I play. I think I like busted John Jawanda. It was another cooler. I had ace jack versus ace 10, and the flop was like ace X. It was just like cooler. I just coolered him. But that was also cool because like I really liked John Jawanda back then. I thought it was pretty good. Who else did I play with that year? It was a lot. I mean, final table was Alan Cunningham too. I remember floating him and taking a pot away. I was like so confident that hand would be shown on ESPN. I was so mad when it wasn't. I was like, fuck. That was my moment. That was the moment I really wanted. That was the moment I even entered that tournament in the first place, right? The fucking memories, the fucking things you could tell your like, I floated Alan Cunningham and I made that bitch fold whatever garbage he was fucking trying to do shit with. You know. But anyway. So I'm playing. And then finally, I think day 7 is the day before the final table. That final 27 on day 7, that's probably more intense than the final table, to be honest. To be really honest, because like this is at the Rio. This was so they moved the World Series from the Horseshoe to the Rio, I think 2004. Greg Raymer's year. I think they changed it to the Rio. And then I think they changed it to Paris and the new Horseshoe, I think 2022 or 2023. One of those years. Anyway, it was at the Rio. I was playing the final 27 because, like, at that time, now you're playing 5 or 6-handed poker a lot, especially when it's down to the final 2 tables. Because, like, when it's down to the final 2 tables, one table is going to be, when there's 11 players left, one table is going to be 5-handed, one table is going to be 6-handed. So that's like very intense too, because you're just kind of like, any false move, you could be knocked out, whatever. But that year, I remember they paid the top 12 people $1 million. And so, what happened? They paid the top people $1 million. But then, so when the 13th person got eliminated, they made some big announcement on the, you could see it on ESPN too. They actually show me, because I was like, well, time to go for 12. Because I was like, because first place was $12 million. Like I kind of took, Jason Strasser's advice to heart, being like, yeah, I've been here before. Yeah, I've been here. I was kind of LARPing, but I was like, yeah, I've been here before. I'm gonna win $12 million. This $1 million, fuck that. I'm going $12 million, motherfuckers. Trying to act all cool and shit, as one does when he's 22 years old, playing for millions of dollars. And that's when I started to wearing the fucking, like, I wore a Duke shirt, but I wore a whatchamacallit, my Mariano Rivera jersey that I'm gonna wear because I'm 42 now. And then the final table. Yeah. Oh, I remember I also had a degree all-in moment with Prahlad Friedman, who was a very famous player at the time. Like, his name was Spirit Rock on Ultimate Bet, I think. But he was very famous at the time. It's not too big today, but he was known as, like, one of the top players in the world. And I got a degree all-in moment. I got really lucky against him, but I got the degree all-in moment on one of the episodes. And so that was cool. But then, yeah, the day before the final table, they gave us a day off for, like, a media day. But also, PokerStars hosted, like, this dinner where they brought in Joe Hashem and they brought in Greg Raymer and they brought in all the PokerStars player that was still left in the tournament. Sadly, we all busted 9th, 8th, and 7th. So we did not accomplish, I think, what they wanted us to accomplish. I was the last man standing at 7th place. So sorry, PokerStars. But if you made top 3, so I got 100K for making the final table from PokerStars. But if you made the top 3, you would get 250K. Or second and third, you get 250K. If you got 1, you get a cool $1 million. No fucking obligations after that. You could just, like, not even do anything PokerStars after that, but just by making the final table wearing their shit, you would make $1 million. So I was kind of like, let's fucking go. LFG, you know what I'm saying? They still do. It's just like, I think Poker Go kind of like stole all that or not stole, but licensed all that content now. So you have to pay Poker Go to watch that shit. Sup, Junie Blaze on Twitch. I usually talk to people on YouTube if you want to go hop over there if you want to chat. Anyway, yeah, so I bust out in 7th. It's funny because, like, the people who are my friends now from poker, you know, they saw me on TV for the first. They saw me on TV before they met me, right? And so some of them were like, "Who is this guy? Who is this, like, 22-year-old? He's just won millions of dollars, and he looks like his dog just got. It looks like his dog just died." Like, I guess, like, most people didn't understand too at the time, like, when you're playing in a tournament and even if you placed high, you're not really thinking about that because you've already experienced the joy. Every time someone gets knocked out, you've already banked that money in your mind, right? Like, it's like, oh, okay. And for example, 9th place money, I think, was around 1.6, let's say. So when the 9th player person gets knocked out, you already think to yourself, oh, I've made $400,000, $2 million for 8th place. So I've already made $4 million, 400,000. So when the 8th place gets knocked out, oh, I've already made $400,000. So at 7th place, when you get knocked out, you're not thinking, oh, I just won $2.4 million. You're thinking, oh, fuck. That's $9.6 million plus the $900K I would have gotten from PokerStars that I left on the table. That's $10.5 million I left on the table, right? That's what you're thinking. You're not thinking, hey, I won $2.4 million. You're thinking in the moment, right? Obviously, later on, you're just kind of like, you're like, okay, that was fun, right? But, like, at the time, at the exact moment you get knocked out, you're just like, well, there goes my shot at 10.5, right? Exactly. I was looking like fucking John Wick after his dog died. And funnily enough, like, my parents are there actually. My sister forces my parents to come to Vegas because my mom is like, "What is he doing? This is gambling. This is sinful." She was, you know what she was doing? She was reading like a religious book at the fucking, final table. She was like praying that I would bust out because she didn't want me to like win too much money and become corrupted by money or some shit. I was like, God damn it. Don't come then. But we yeah, we just had a nice dinner afterwards with Jason and some other people. And Jason was happy too. I owed him 48K, right? I had to pay him 2% of 2.4 mil. And the other guy was happy too. He got 24K. He got more than his buy-in back. I think he busted before the money too. I mean, not two, but he busted for the money, so he lost 10K. But now he's getting not only that 10K back, but another 14, right? So he was happy about that. And yeah, I kind of actually had somewhat of an existential crisis afterwards. That's actually what really happened to me. Like, most people would expect, oh, a 22-year-old making all this money, he's just gonna, like my mom said, like, right, she's just gonna like become obsessed with money and want to make more and blah blah blah. And I was just kind of like, well, I only wanted to make money so I could sleep more, and I think I accomplished that goal. So what do I do now? Well, I guess I'm living in New York City where $1 million is a lot of money, right? But it's still not that much money when you live in New York, right? It's kind of like middle class. Or at least in Manhattan, right? That's how fucking crazy Manhattan is. And so I decided to just kind of like go back into school and just do that job, right? But it kind of like depressed me a little bit, the poker stuff, because that's all people would know me at, when I go to church or whatever, or all these social things. People are like, oh, he's the poker guy. He's the poker guy. And I was like, well, that is something that I did and do, but that's not, like a defining characteristic. I'm it felt like there was a lot of luck involved, right? In any tournament, there's a lot of fucking luck involved. And I think me being cognizant of that made me not like being praised for poker. I was like, no, they're like, in my mind, I'd be like, no, they're a lot better players than me. I'm not that great, honestly. Like, I was very lucky, but they would just keep saying like, oh, this poker guy. And I was just like, oh, don't call me that. Right. And it's like, there's legit people who are poker people. I was lucky. It's not that I'm bad, but I'm not like. So I think like part of me wanted to play more poker to prove that I could be as good as people. There was that shit going on. But yeah, that's kind of like how I. So Steve, when you listen to this in the morning, that's the story. That's how I got into poker. That's how it all started. That's how it all began. Is it true that South Korea is majority Protestant Christian because of Syngman Rhee? I mean, you tell me. What do you think? Korea was not very Christian. I mean, they had some Christian stuff, obviously, from the Americans, from the 1860s or 70s, or they actually did have indigenous Koreans who brought Catholicism to Korea in the 1700s. There were some Korean travelers who met Jesuit priests who brought Christianity back to Korea, actually. It's the only place that I know of that is not Western that the indigenous people found Christianity and brought it to Korea. But that was Catholicism. That wasn't Protestant Christian. And, like No Dim Diem, right, who was a Catholic, but that was only just because, you know, there was a strong enough Catholic contingent within South Vietnam because of the French colonization period. But if you know anything about the Japanese colonization period, they don't give a shit about Christianity. They still don't get they bought all the fucking German propaganda. You know, they read all the Nietzsche, they read all the Schopenhauer, they read all the Hitler shit. And they were like, yeah, Christianity is bullshit. All it is like, because Hitler talks a lot about how Christianity is just Bolshevism. Did you guys know that? I'm just reading Hitler's Table Talk these days, and I'm just like, I don't know why people like these online Christians are like, oh, Hitler defended Christianity from these Bolsheviks. I was like, no, Hitler blamed the Bolsheviks for being Christian. He was basically saying St. Paul and Karl Marx are the same kind of people. Like, he said, like, oh, you see Saul changed to Paul to pretend like he was an Aryan and gave us this fake Christianity shit to destroy the Roman Empire. So the Jew destroyed the Roman Empire with Christianity. And just like Marx, he was Mordecai before, but now he's Marx. So you could see how he shapeshifted into a German name, Aryan name. But he's actually a Jew who's trying to destroy Germany, just like St. Paul destroyed the Roman Empire with Christianity. So it's just kind of like, dude thinks communism is Christianity. Like, that's the funniest fucking part about people who glaze Hitler. I'm like, or Christians who glaze Hitler. I'm like, do you know what Hitler said? Do you know what? Like, if you read the Table Talk, 70 to 80% of it is just fucking nonsense. He's just rambling about history. He's just rambling about random shit about, like, Charlemagne and Roman Empire, the Greeks, all this fucking Western history shit. And he's always talking about how the Jew was wrecking shit all over Western history, right? And yeah, I was just kind of like, I'm very surprised. I'm like reading this all for the first time. So then, you know, that Japan, they're reading all the stuff that Germany's saying about Christianity and Jews and all this stuff. So from the get-go, they ban Christianity not only within their own empire, but obviously within Korea, because they're banning communism in Korea too. Japan was heavily banning communist like rhetoric during the occupation period of the annexed Korea, because during the time Kim Il-sung and the other Korean communists, they were the fucking freedom fighters. They were the ones trying to, you know, stop Japan's occupation of Korea. And so Japanese people were like, well, fuck communism, because, you know, it's teaching these people to rebel against us. So we got to stop communism. Oh, wait, Hitler says that Christianity is just like communism. Well, we got to ban that too. And so now you see, to the day, Japan is less than 0.1% Christian. Do you guys know that? It is one of the least Christian countries on planet Earth. I know this because I went to a mission trip to Japan. We learned all about kind of like what their relationship with Christianity was. And so, yeah, you can see that it was not that popular in Korea, especially after World War II. And Sukman Rhee was basically a product of the CIA, right? He studied at Princeton. He was just like a plant. He was just there. And, you know, when you're in, you know, America for 30, 40 years, right? I think he left Korea, I think like what, 1908 or something like that. And went to America to quote unquote study, but really he was just being groomed to be their fucking puppet. And so he spent a lot of time in America, and he was like, hey, what do most American people believe in? What are they most influenced by? Well, it's evangelical Christianity now, isn't it? Let's LARP as a fucking Protestant, fundamental evangelical Protestant, get all the Republicans on our side, and basically use that to get their sympathy. Be like, hey, we're the Christian side of Korea. You see, those fucking heathen communists. They need to be killed. Actually, never mind the fact that they were the ones that were fighting against the Japs the entire time, and we were just fucking the ones collaborating with them. Except for me, since I was in America and just collaborating with the Americans. And so that's why they chose me instead of anyone else in South Korea, because everyone else in South Korea was a traitor. But never mind that fact. But just trust me, good old Christian Sigmund Rhee, to tell you what's going on. I heard that communism was popular as in Japanese ran factories in Korea during the occupation. That's probably possible. I don't know as much the Lapaghetto about that. I'm still reading more about the occupation period. There isn't too many English-based sources on the occupation period for obvious reasons. But I am still digging. For example, I've got this to read. Japanese Colonial Empire. This is actually my sister's old book. She studied a little bit about that at Harvard, and she had this textbook, but I decided to take it with me to read it eventually. By the way, this Sigmund Rhee concept is from the OG Chapo TH book. I don't know what TH is. TH. Thanos Hyde. I don't know. What Hitler have you been reading? Well, I already read Mein Kampf a couple years ago. But I'm reading Hitler's Table Talk. I don't think he wrote anything else besides that, right? I don't think he wrote much. But he didn't even write Table Talk. I don't think he even wrote Mein Kampf. Both times, he dictated to someone else, like in jail when Mein Kampf was written. He was dictating that to someone else who was writing it. And then even the Table Talk, he's just talking, and the book is basically transcriptions of his speeches that were recorded by some people in the Nazi regime. And so I think there are smells of Western three-letter organizations. Yeah, I mean, so the CIA wasn't created until 1947. There was the OSS before that. So I don't think it was totally... I think it was just like a convenient thing, especially since Sigmund Rhee understood the American psyche because he was living there for 3 decades. Maybe in 4 decades. I forgot when he flees Korea himself. I think it was 1908, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, wait, China is around 2 to 5% Christian. Yeah, even that. I mean, 2 to 5% Christian, even 2% Christian in China. What is that? 28 million Christians versus 0.1% in Japan. That's 100,000. So 28 million Christians in China and 100,000 in Japan. And in Japan, yeah, I mean, you know what I think about Japan. They need Jesus, that's for sure. They need a lot more Jesus than any other fucking country on this planet. Let's just say that. Except for maybe the Islamic ones that are basically traitors to Palestine. Like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia and Japan both need Jesus Christ. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, there's a book I read a long time ago. It's semi-autobiographical regarding this. Oh, okay. The CIA and Israel were established the same year. Yeah, I mean, Mossad was pretty much built by James Jesus Angleton, who was a CIA counterintelligence chief in the 1950s. He was basically building that shit because he's the only American that Israel has a memorial for in Israel. There's like a memorial for James Jesus Angleton in Israel. He's the only American that they have that for. I don't know. I kind of suspicious Christianity because Western colonists used it. No, I mean, obviously that exists. That's why I went to Orthodox Church. Because Catholic Church, they used it to exploit their own people, right? For 1,000 years, they used it to fucking control white people, right? The Dark Ages, they told them, hey, if you pay us money, you get to go to heaven. And it's just like all this fucking bullshit. Like, starting from basically the schism, that's why they had the schism, in my opinion, the Orthodox Church. I think the Orthodox Church saw that there was something not quite right with those Catholics. And then obviously the Protestants, especially America, they used Christianity to be like, hey, slavery is okay. See, it's in the Bible. Slaves obey their masters, so you gotta obey us. Never mind the fact that chattel slavery was nothing like Roman slavery. Chattel slavery, you had no chance of fucking not being a slave anymore. In Roman slavery, you actually could get out of slavery under certain circumstances and become like a citizen. So it wasn't even the same kind of slavery, but yeah, that's what they did. They used kind of like Christianity for those purposes. But if you see Orthodox, right, there's very few imperialists that used Orthodox for imperialism. And when the Soviet Union formed, they even kind of like banned a lot of Russian Orthodox churches. I don't think that was quite a good idea. And I think they laxed some stuff about that after the 1950s or 1960s. But it was, so that's why I'm kind of more interested in Orthodox Christianity, because I think it's closer to the OG, what Christianity is supposed to be. Yeah, I mean, like, that's why it's called Orthodox, right? Orthodox means the OG, right? The service I went to, I think they try to model their services after the Book of Acts, how the Book of Acts models their services. So, and if you read the Book of Acts, the Book of Acts is very communist. It's like sell all your possessions and sharing all your possessions, and your only like goal in life should be to spread the word of God and rejoice in the Lord, and share the word, share the love of God, share, that's your only mission in life or whatever. And they kind of said that during the service. So yeah, I'm gonna probably look into it a little bit more. It's just I just haven't had time to kind of like think about it a lot because I've been doing more theoretical work on these politics stuff. But that's kind of like my take on Orthodox. I like it because it's more closer to the origins of Christianity, and it doesn't have the stain of Western imperialism on it. I'm sure if you probably dug far enough, you'd be like, "There's, oh well, they helped participate in the Crusades," but that was more a defensive thing for them. They were kind of like worried that like Muslim tribes would like kill them all, whereas Catholic kind of people, they more were the imperialists during the Crusades. They were like actually killing and raping Muslims in the Holy Land. So yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look more into that. Again, my history before the, basically 1776. Yeah. I'm learning more about history in the past 300 years, but my history gets a little hazy when it goes before that. I know basic, like, big events, but I'd still have to research a lot more to give you a more definitive answer on that. But that's kind of my take on Orthodox Christianity in general. And yeah, most of them are still Russian. Some Russian Orthodox churches
actually canonize Stalin as a saint. You know, there are some like icons of Stalin as a saint in some Greek or Russian Orthodox churches. So I found that very interesting because um, Stalin actually went to Orthodox seminary when he was growing up, when he was a youth. He was supposed to be an Orthodox priest. That was what he was supposed to do. But then I guess like he was like, well, I gotta be a communist because like shit's not good for the working class, and I gotta fight for the people, and so that's the decision he made. But I think a lot of especially boomer Russians, they actually appreciate Stalin. You know, it's actually more the millennial fucking Russians who are like anti-Stalin. But if the boomer people, they're more appreciative of Stalin. Actually, they understand the history. They understand what he did. He saved Russia from the fucking Nazis. But it's funny that like now he's canonized because like the USSR was like a lot of the propaganda against them from the United States was like, oh, they're anti-Christian, they're atheists, they're communism hates Christianity, right? That was the big thing. That was a big line. But I find it funny because they're like, well, A, Stalin was an Orthodox seminary. B, now he's canonized in some Orthodox churches. And C, everything fucking Hitler had to say about Christianity and Bolshevism. It's actually kind of funny because Hitler is actually pretty insightful. He's not this stupid person. He's not this like idiot that just gained power by being bombastic and whatever. He's actually pretty clever. Um, but his best moments are when he critiques the United States and Great Britain because he's very accurate when it comes to those countries about like what he's critiquing them on. But he's also very accurate about calling Bolshevism Christianity, actually. Not just because of the Karl Marx, he's a Jew, whatever, but he identifies that both preach the same sort of message, the same sort of kind of like underlying message of like general equality for all and like, this kind of like he almost recognizes that communism is almost like secular it's like a secular Christian cult. That's kind of like how I conceptualized it even before I read even when I before I read the fucking his table talk. So I was like, man, I feel like Hitler was very close to the answer if he replaced Jews with British Anglo-Saxon people. He would have gotten there. It's only that he admired that British fucking douchebaggery shit. He admired British imperialism. So, he was still a racist. So his racism got in the way of his, analysis of reality. As it always does. Like Engels says, anti-Semitism is befitting of a retarded mentality. He literally called you retarded if you were anti-Semitic. He was a fan of Thrasymachus. Yeah, no, he probably wrote about that, and I skimmed it because I skipped through a lot of the fucking Greek shit he was talking about. I was like, I do not want to fucking read about every single nuance you think about fucking ancient history. So yeah. Anyway, I've been yapping for a while. It's probably late in New York, so I'm out for now. I'll be probably back on 6. Hopefully I'm going to try to do, if I'm still locked out of my Twitter account, I'm going to try to just do YouTube only with this thing and see if that gets rid of the fucking lag. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later. And oh wait, I guess it turned 42 by that time as well. All right, I'll talk to you later, guys. See it. I will get some more Wingstop. Thanks, Andrew.